Gabriel has a ruler that he uses to hit me. I fell in love at the age of 17. He pressed me down on my legs and spanked me with a ruler. After each spanking he asked, "Tell uncle, are you wrong?" Gabriel played slowly. The big hand gripped the back of my neck, like pinching a chick. My butt exposed to the air was tense and ready for action. I was beaten so hard that it hurt like fire. It's too tight and a bit itchy. What a shame. When I have money, I will also pin Gabriel on my legs, take off his pants and spank him. Dawson, what are you thinking about? Monsieur. I squeezed out 2 tears and deliberately rubbed them on Gabriel's clean and tidy trousers, pretending to admit my mistake. Gabriel, I know I was wrong, please stop hitting me. No rules. The cold ruler touched my skin, just like Gabriel's gaze, cold and dangerous. Call me. I just wanted to laugh. What kind of uncle is he? Which uncle can get excited by beating his nephew? My thighs are as hard as rocks and they hurt me. Old pervert. Gabriel rubbed his hand on the back of my neck and said softly, "Tell uncle about that girl. What do you like about her?" I thought about it and said, "Beautiful." Have you ever kissed? I felt an inexplicable desire to win. I have kissed you. In fact, no, he didn't even hold her hand before he was discovered by Gabriel. The hand holding the back of my neck tightened. Dawson, tell your uncle what it feels like to kiss. The voice lowered a few notes. Is it good? I gritted my teeth and said, It feels good. The ruler fell, my skin tightened, I grabbed Gabriel's trousers tightly, and took a deep breath. Gabriel rubbed my lips with his hands, so hard that it hurt. I didn't dare to move, so I could only pretend to be pitiful. Uncle, stop rubbing it, my mouth is going to rot. Gabriel did not stop. His tone was calm but unyielding. Listen to your uncle, break up with that girl and don't waste her time. Before I could say anything, I heard the butler knock on the door. Sir, Ramon is here. I took the opportunity to jump off Gabriel's legs with my pants in hand and ran out. I'm going to bed first. Rushing to the door, he looked back and saw the ruler across his knees. Gabriel lowered his eyes and looked at his right hand for a long time, then put it to his lips. Grass. I knew this old pervert had ulterior motives. Fortunately, I am not his biological nephew. Gabriel did not hide the fact that he was not his biological nephew. The sister he mentioned is my mother who died early and has no blood relationship with him. I'm not very clear about the many entanglements between the previous generations. Gabriel never said much, but Ramon would say from time to time, "You are actually her son." Except for the face, there is no similarity. Ramon is the youngest son of the Liu family, a media tycoon in Haicheng and a popular star. He is handsome, but has a stinky face. He never looks people in the eye, especially at me. Actually, I can understand that. Because Ramon is out, and his ideal lover is Gabriel. Gabriel is cold to everyone except me. To put it bluntly, he was jealous. When I rushed downstairs with my pants in my hand, I bumped into Ramon at the corner of the stairs. Ramon crossed his arms and looked me up and down, finally stopping at my unbuttoned pants. Sneered. He fucked you? I tied my belt carelessly. You said it the wrong way around. Ramon was stunned for a moment, his expression turned pale, as if struck by lightning. What? I smiled. Yes, it is what you think. She reached out and patted his fresh face, like a gangster. Don't like Gabriel anymore, like me instead. I can also make you happy. If you don't believe me, go ask Gabriel how comfortable it is. Just as he finished speaking, a light laugh came from above him. My face turned pale too. Gabriel's voice was suppressed. Ramon, go back. Dawson, come up. Uncle will tell you how comfortable it is. After reading Buddhist scriptures to Gabriel on the 4th floor for an entire night, I broke up with Peggy calmly the next day. The reason is, my uncle won't allow it. Peggy slapped me and called me a fool. She knew nothing of Gabriel's perversion. If that old pervert really has feelings for me, with his desire to control me, I will definitely not be able to escape from his control. If you want to resist, you need capital. I don't have any right now. Everything was given by Gabriel. He is a rich man, he can take whatever he wants. His only requirement is that I obey him. I was 12 years old when Gabriel found me. At that time, I had a rainbow-colored hair and was a gangster in the largest poor area in Haicheng. Gabriel drove his black Mercedes-Benz in front of me, his shiny leather shoes stepped on the dirty ground, stared at me for a long time, frowned and asked the assistant next to him, "Are you sure you didn't find the wrong one?" The assistant took a look at the information and nodded seriously. Gabriel was indeed a man who had seen the world. After 3 seconds of silence, he accepted the fact that the annoying thing in front of him was his nephew. He held out his hand to me. "Hello, I'm Gabriel, your uncle." His hands have distinct joints and are very powerful, but they are also very white and clean. I grinned and shook his hand with my dirty paws that had just been through the trash can. "Hi, I'm Dawson, your long-lost dad." Gabriel wasn't angry, he laughed. "And I paid a heavy price for this, Dad." Gabriel forced me to shave my hair and remove my tattoos. My resistance was futile and I could only curse his ancestors for generations. Gabriel never talked when he could do something. He threw me into the boxing ring and said, "Come on, play with your uncle." I was beaten black and blue, and I shouted that he was a child abuser and wanted to call the police to arrest him. Gabriel took off his boxing gloves, squatted in front of me, and gently wiped the tears from my face. "Why are you crying? Uncle is just joking with you." I choked and the curse words came to my lips. I heard Gabriel say, "Besides, if your uncle abused a child, he would definitely cut off your tongue first. That way you wouldn't spread rumors everywhere." I swallowed my dirty words, rubbed my face against Gabriel's hand, and tried to please him tactfully. "Uncle, I was wrong." Gabriel smiled slightly and rubbed my head, just like rubbing a dog. "So good." To be honest, I was afraid of Gabriel. When I was 14, I ran into him beating someone in the Buddhist hall on the 4th floor. He crushed the man's leg bone with one kick. After beating the man, he leaned back in his chair and waved at me, "Come and read a passage of scripture to your uncle." So he is a pervert. He just broke someone's bones, and now he wants to listen to someone chanting sutras. I kept thinking about that man's leg bone. When Gabriel kicked it off, there was a crack sound that made my teeth ache. Therefore, I can't concentrate and always read the wrong words. Gabriel sighed, held me in his arms, and patted my back soothingly. "Don't be afraid, you are different from them, you are your uncle's nephew. As long as you are obedient, your uncle will always love you." So, Gabriel has certain requirements for loving me. I must be his nephew and listen to him before he will love me. If I wasn't his nephew, he would have broken my leg bones. Therefore, I am willing to be Gabriel's nephew for life. If only he could stay this rich. This is what I thought until the last second before I went home from school. As soon as I opened the door, I keenly sensed that the atmosphere was wrong. Someone came to the house and there was an extra pair of shoes at the door. Old washed white sneakers. There were voices coming from the living room. Besides Gabriel, there was also a vague boy's voice. Rushing into the living room, I saw Gabriel sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed, and a boy in school uniform sitting next to him. About the same age as me, similar face. But different from me. He was clean, well-groomed, without messy hair or tattoos. He looks more like Gabriel's nephew, and more like the son of the woman Ramon mentioned. There was an adoption certificate on the table. I also had a copy of that adoption certificate. Maybe I appeared too abruptly and interrupted the conversation between the two people. Both pairs of eyes fell on me and the atmosphere became awkward. It seemed like I had broken into their world. I can probably guess what happened. I found the wrong person. After a long while, Gabriel broke the silence. "I'm back. I'm tired. I'm going to bed." I walked quickly towards the room. I don't want to be abandoned again. I don't want to go back to the South District, and I don't want to compete with dogs for food. If you raise me, you will raise me for the rest of my life. Dawson. Gabriel refused to let me get away. "No hurry." Then he said to the housekeeper, "Go and help Dawson pack his things." "No need." I turned around and interrupted him. "I can walk by myself." I said to Gabriel fiercely, "I would have left if you hadn't chased me away. I've long been fed up with this controlling old pervert of yours. You don't allow me to dye my hair or date. I'm 18 and you're 28. Living with you is like entering middle-aged and old age early. Move to the 3rd floor, next to my room. The room on the 1st floor is for Simo. Gabriel listened for a while and then slowly continued the second half of the sentence. Won't you chase me away? Give me a promotion? I stood there for a long time thinking about how to make up for what I had just said. Otherwise, with Gabriel's petty mind, he would definitely punish me later. Besides, I'm not his nephew anymore, and I'm afraid he'll break my legs if he gets angry. Integrity is precious, but life is more precious. Just give in. Before he could say anything, the man suddenly stood up from the sofa and said to Gabriel with a red face, "Uncle, if Dawson doesn't want to, I will move to the 3rd floor. Dawson already lives in a room on the 1st floor, and I shouldn't compete with him. I can live anywhere." "No, brother." Gabriel was silent for a moment, his eyes passed from me to him, he raised his lips lazily, put on a subtle smile and praised, "Simo is still sensible." Okay. Simo is sensible, right? He asked me to cut my hair, I cut my hair, asked me to break up, I broke up, and in the end I was still Simo sensible. There's no comparison between outsiders and nephews, right? I'm so furious. After Simo moved in, Gabriel rarely disciplined me anymore. He didn't even ask me to go upstairs to recite Buddhist scriptures for him. You know, he used to do it once every 3 days and he couldn't miss it. It has been 7 days since the last chanting, and Gabriel has not moved. Until I ran into Simo coming down from the 4th floor. I felt very uncomfortable and bored. We are all nephews and we all have mouths. If I can read, Simo can naturally read too. Besides, Gabriel likes good boys, and I am obviously not good enough. Since Gabriel didn't care about me, I became bolder. I went to a tattoo parlor and got a tongue pierced. I fooled around until midnight before returning home. Fortunately, the lights in the villa were off. I took off my shoes and walked carefully to the room. After successfully entering the door, I breathed a sigh of relief. After realizing what was happening, he laughed at himself and said, "What are you afraid of? That old pervert has no time to care about you." Just as he finished speaking, the dark room lit up. Gabriel's voice sounded behind him like a ghost. "Old pervert. Dreaming." "Yes, dreaming." I silently touched the door handle and prepared to run away. "Wait until he calms down before coming back. If you leave this door today, I will buy you a wheelchair tomorrow." I retracted my hand, turned around, and knelt down. "Uncle, I was wrong." Gabriel was wearing a formal suit and had his hair sprayed on. He sat neatly in the armchair in my room with a calm expression, but the Rubik's Cube on my desk was broken into pieces. Damn it, I was so angry that I took the Rubik's Cube apart. "Where did you go?" "I'm going to play." "That damn big tongue." Sure enough, Gabriel's mouth shrunk a little more. "I waited for you to eat for 4 hours. The smile was gentle and sarcastic. "Dawson, you are busier than me. Simo can also eat with you. Why are you waiting for me? Don't you have a nephew? Your nephew is much more sensible than me." Gabriel didn't say anything, but lowered his eyes and quickly assembled the Rubik's Cube with his fingers flying. When I put down the Rubik's Cube, the housekeeper knocked on the door and brought in 2 bowls of noodles. Gabriel waved at me and said, "Come and have dinner with your uncle." Logically, I should have gone down the stairs. But when I looked at the hot noodles, my tongue just hurt. So he said, "I'd better kneel down." Gabriel tilted his head and looked over. "Don't want to?" I shuddered, stood up quickly, and ran over to eat noodles with him. As soon as it entered my mouth, I shivered in pain. Gabriel pinched my mouth and said, "Spit it out." The noodles had already slipped off, and I stuck out my tongue in frustration. He sneered and brushed his thumb over the beads on my tongue. "Dawson, you skipped a day of school to do this?" I swallowed hard, not daring to speak, fearing that Gabriel would pull my beads out. Then I would be covered in blood. "Like beads?" Gabriel's hand moved down. Stopping at the chest, "Uncle will give you one?" I shook my head frantically, grabbed his hand, and acted pitiful. "No, I don't like piercings." "I was wrong, Uncle. I don't dare to do it again." Gabriel lowered his eyes and slowly ran his fingers across the hem of my clothes, wiping away the saliva on it. Dawson, do you think that if you do anything wrong, your uncle will let you go if you just ask for help? I smiled nonchalantly. No, I don't have any. Premature love, skipping classes, piercing, fooling around. Your uncle sent you to the best school, gave you the best things, resources, and opportunities. 5 years have passed, Dawson, and you haven't made any progress. Gabriel's eyes were cold, not even disappointed. Now I throw you to the South District, and you're still a loser who can only steal and rummage through trash cans to make a living. I slowly put away the smile on my face, my hands and feet were cold, and I looked at Gabriel expressionlessly. Listen to him continue. Gabriel observed my expression and said, "Why? Are you unhappy about what I said?" "No." I smiled stiffly. "I am really useless. I can't learn anything. Uncle, please don't abandon me, otherwise I really can't survive." Those in power like their pets to show weakness and regard them as their only support. Then they will be happy. But Gabriel showed no sign of being happy. His 5 fingers pierced through my hair roots, pulled my hair, and forced me to look up. "Dawson, you have no bones? No matter how I humiliate you, you won't get angry, right?" I didn't struggle at all, my neck exposed to his gaze, demonstrating my complete submission. Gabriel leaned closer, with a gentle but fake smile on his face. "In that case, don't smile so ugly, be happy." My lips trembled, my eyes reddened, and I pulled out a huge, genuine smile. Gabriel's smile faded, he stood up, and rubbed my head expressionlessly. "Dawson, have you thought about the future?" Yes. "The noodles on the table have gone cold." In the end, no one ate it. I sat in the chair for a while, recalling the feeling of being hungry, and felt that being humiliated by Gabriel was no big deal. It's much more comfortable than being hungry. When I came back to my senses, I was scared to death by the figure in front of me. "Fuck. When did you come in?" "The door is open." Simo pointed to the door. "Don't you know to knock before you come in?" "Simo, you seem to be about to cry. I don't want to disturb you." Does this kid always talk like this and deserve a beating? It turns out there is more to be owed. "Dawson, why are you still here? My uncle doesn't need you anymore, and he's embarrassed to kick you out. Don't you feel redundant?" Simo tilted his head, his expression sincere. "You took over my identity and gained so many things. Isn't it time to give them back to me now?" "Oh, you're not a good person." I leaned back in my armchair and smiled shamelessly. "Gabriel didn't even chase me away. Why are you so anxious?" "I'm doing this for your own good." Simo said in a low voice, "It would be embarrassing if we had to wait until the day he kicks you out." I rolled my eyes. "Stop stirring up trouble, idiot. Let Gabriel talk to me." Simo shrugged, but he was not angry. When he left, he took out 2 bowls of cold noodles. However, Simo is more capable than me. He has good grades and often participates in business competitions. Occasionally, when Gabriel goes to the company, he will bring him along. They went in pairs and had a great time talking to each other. I could see Gabriel's appreciation for Simo from his micro-expressions more than once. Gradually, some noises were heard in the villa. They said that after I turned 18, Gabriel would no longer care about me. I went to Gabriel to verify. He closed his pen and leaned back in his chair. "Dawson, you have to grow up. You can't always rely on your uncle." "Why not?" "A nephew should be independent when he reaches adulthood, but a lover does not need to be. If I could get Gabriel into bed on the day I came of age, I could stay with him and have no worries about food and clothing for the rest of my life." I stared at the medicine on the table that I got from Fengzi. "1 dose and you'll be burned to ashes." Anyway, Gabriel has been coveting me for a long time, but because of his status, he pretended to be polite. If I drug him, does that count as helping someone else? Fuck it. I'm not that mean yet. I can only beg for help. If that doesn't work, I'll just go to the South District to pick up trash. I threw the medicine into the drawer and never took it again. But on my 18th birthday, Gabriel inexplicably took Chinese medicine. 7. Halfway through the cocktail party, Gabriel suddenly left. Simo followed him and was stopped by him. I saw that he looked unhappy, so I refused a few drinks and went to his room. Knock on the door. "Uncle, it's me." The door opened and Gabriel appeared in just a black shirt with his tie hanging loosely. He held onto the door, breathing heavily, his right hand dripping with blood, the broken glass on his palm embedded in his flesh. I looked at the blood on his hand and swallowed my saliva. "Uncle, are you okay? What happened to your hand?" Gabriel stared at me darkly, as if he knew everything. He sneered, grabbed my tie, and pulled me into the room roughly. He kicked the door shut, swung me against the door panel, pinched my face and kissed me fiercely. It's not kissing, it's plundering and venting. My teeth hit my lip and broke the skin. Damn, it hurt so much. I struggled hard and turned my head away to fight him. Gabriel got annoyed, grabbed the back of my neck, and said coldly, "Why are you hiding? Don't you want it?" "What do I want? What's wrong with this old pervert?" Gabriel dragged me into the room, threw me onto the bed, and without waiting for me to react, he leaned over and pressed down on the back of my neck, pinning down my legs. His hot palms were pressed against my lower back, and delicate kisses fell on my neck and shoulders. His tense muscles, his hot skin, his total power over me, all felt dangerous to me. The danger stung my skin, burned my blood, and made my heart beat faster. Conquer cities and territories. I've been waiting for this day ever since I vaguely discovered Gabriel's feelings. I was also ready to be taken to bed by him. I was raised by him. Since I want his money and power, I am bound to give something. There is no free lunch in the world. I have to be like a cat, flattering and obedient, so as not to be abandoned and thrown away. I have understood this principle since I was a child. So I don't consider myself a human being, I've adapted to it a long time ago. I shouldn't feel humiliated or wronged. But I still feel embarrassed by Gabriel's toying with and encroaching upon me. For the first time, I felt Gabriel's dangers so clearly. It's completely different from the usual houseplaying where minor punishments are given and major admonitions are given. He was no longer gentle, and his eyes no longer showed the usual indulgence and pampering. He touched me, but his eyes were cold, as if I was just a toy to be abused. It's just a tool for relieving stress and not worth his trouble. At this moment, I once again realized the huge gap between us. In terms of strength, ability, and relationships. He has total control over me, my dignity and my life. If he gives me, I have it. If he doesn't give me, I don't have it. I admitted my mistake in a panic, although I didn't know what I was admitting my mistake for. But as long as I admit my mistake, Gabriel will let it go. As long as he lets me go and gives me a little dignity, even just a little bit, I can still be his good nephew with a smile on my face. But this time, he didn't. Gabriel is still invading. Dawson, not every mistake can be forgiven. When Gabriel took off my pants, I struggled like crazy. "Gabriel, if you dare, I will kill you." Gabriel slapped me. The sound is very crisp. It hurts so much, it's definitely swollen. At this time, the doorbell rang. Gabriel let me go, and I quickly rolled out of the bed and stared at him. I was almost stripped naked, and the old bastard didn't even unbutton one more button of his shirt. If it weren't for the obvious dishevelment under his suit pants, it would have looked like I had been drugged. Gabriel glanced at me, pulled the quilt over me, and turned to open the door. Simo let a doctor in. When he saw me lying on the bed, his eyes paused on my lips, then he lowered his eyes and clenched his fists. The doctor gave Gabriel an injection, picked out the broken glass from his palm, and bandaged it. After the end, Gabriel said to Simo, "Simo, you see the doctor off." Simo glanced at me and left respectfully. Gabriel leaned back on the sofa, "Put on your clothes and come here." He was in a bad mood, so I didn't dare say anything. I quickly put on my clothes and walked over. "Kneel down." I was silent for a second and knelt in front of him. Gabriel frowned, his eyes serious. When I knelt down, his tone became even colder. "Where did the medicine in your room come from?" I immediately understood why Gabriel was so angry. He thought I was the one who drugged him. I felt wronged and angry. "It's not me." Gabriel emphasized, "Where did you get the medicine?" I gritted my teeth and said, "He phone gave it to me." "Why are you taking it back? Who are you going to use it on?" I opened my mouth, speechless. Gabriel said, "Dawson, I only had one glass of wine today. And that glass of wine was given to me by you. All the evidence points to me. There is no way to argue, I can only palely repeat, it's not me. Then why did you bring that medicine home? I can't explain it clearly. Gabriel looked down at me and said, Dawson, you are smart and pretty, and you are indeed likable. But there are many smart and pretty losers in this world. I can keep you in bed today, and I can keep someone else tomorrow. Then what makes you different from others? I want to support my lover, I don't need to bother teaching him for 5 years. Gabriel stared at me and said, you have to treat yourself as a human being, so that others will treat you as a human being. I had no intention of listening to what Gabriel was saying. I reviewed what happened tonight in my mind and suddenly remembered that besides me, Simo also had the glass of wine. I looked up suddenly, it wasn't me who gave you the drug. It was Simo. Gabriel closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and said in a sinister tone, I said so much, and you didn't listen to a word? What to listen to? Why are you accusing me of something I didn't do? Simo happened to open the door. I rushed over, grabbed his collar and said, what's going on with that glass of wine? Explain it clearly. Simo looked confused. What kind of wine? You drugged the wine. King framed me. What are you talking about? He leaned in and whispered in my ear, do you have any evidence? I was stunned for a moment. I really don't have any evidence. I sneered and cursed him as a bastard. He clenched his fist, punched Simo in the face, and then rushed forward and kicked him. When he was about to hit again, Gabriel stopped his fist. Get out of the way. I pushed Gabriel away, picked up the ashtray, and smashed it on Simo's head. I'm going to kill you. Dawson. Gabriel blocked the ashtray and slapped me in the face. Have you had enough of the fuss? This slap stunned everyone. The atmosphere in the room quickly turned cold. Gabriel's left hand began to tremble. He clenched his fist to stop the trembling, his Adam's apple rolling. That's enough. I poked my numb face with my tongue and interrupted Gabriel. If it is not enough, there will be no hope. Licking the wound at the corner of his lip, he said, Uncle, I am 18 years old today. You said that people always have to grow up, and I think so too. I pushed past Gabriel and strode toward the door. Gabriel held me back and said, I'll have someone take you home. I wanted to laugh. Gabriel, am I a bit of a jerk? I pushed him away vigorously. You are right. I have to treat myself as a human being. I slammed the door, looked up and took a deep breath. I turned around and saw Ramon standing against the wall, gesturing to me to keep quiet. Probably he came to look for Gabriel. Not wanting to bother with these young masters, I ignored him and walked towards the elevator. Ramon followed behind with his hands in his pockets, gloating, Gabriel doesn't want you anymore? I turned around and gave him a middle finger, don't bother me. You can't beat Simo. Ramon glanced at me and said to himself, Simo is Davy's child. Unless he holds a knife to Gabriel's neck, Gabriel won't do anything to him. Besides, Simo was given to him by Davy. Even without Gabriel, he still has Davy. You are a helpless little loser. What can you do to fight him? Davy started his career in real estate and is considered one of the top wealthy families in Haicheng. So, Gabriel's deceased sister is his illegitimate daughter Davy. Not quite right. Gabriel's sister is from the Yun family, so why is he looking for a nephew in the South District? We should go to the Yun family to look for him. The Yun family doesn't treat illegitimate children as human beings. 18 years ago, Davy didn't want to be used as a tool for marriage, so she ran away with someone. The Yun family thought it was a shame and severed ties with her. When Gabriel returned to China, Davy was already dead, and even her body could not be found. It took 3 years of investigation to find out that she had a child when she lived in the South District. After 3 years of searching, I still found the wrong person. Ramon seemed to see through my thoughts. Don't blame Gabriel for finding the wrong person. You do look a lot like Davy. Besides, no one would have thought that someone from the Yun family would go to the South District to find Davy's child and bring him back to raise him. Ramon narrowed his eyes. Boris's child, huh? Boris, I've heard of him, the youngest son of the old man of the Yun family. He is considered Simo's uncle. He is also an illegitimate child, not favored, and does not seem to pose any threat. But Ramon and Gabriel always looked wary when they mentioned this person. Anyone who is considered an opponent by Gabriel cannot be a good person. I stopped at the elevator and looked at Ramon. "Why are you telling me this?" Ramon sneered. "I'm afraid you're too stupid to go to Simo and get yourself killed. With your current situation and abilities, you can't afford to offend anyone around Gabriel. If Gabriel doesn't want you, you're nothing. Dawson, you don't deserve Gabriel. So either leave Hong Kong City and never come back, or work hard to become someone worthy of me." I laughed. "Ramon, when did you become so kind?" Ramon felt the resentment of a fallen idol. "Because Gabriel is blind, it has to be you." "Oh, I don't think so. He also has a good nephew." I used my remaining money to rent a place in the South District, went to school on time every day, and waited for the upcoming college entrance examination. My academic performance is neither good nor bad. I suffered a lot when I was young, and after being adopted by Gabriel, I didn't want to suffer anymore. So I never studied hard. If Gabriel hadn't taught me so much, I would have dropped out of school and gone out to have a life of debauchery. Gabriel is very busy, but he will check my homework on time at 8 o'clock every night and continue his work after I fall asleep. So, he is always busy until late. So, he always fell asleep when listening to me chanting. In the past, I always thought that I didn't have to work hard because Gabriel was there to back me up. Not now, Gabriel doesn't want me anymore. I didn't expect Simo to come to me. He stood in front of my house on the dirty street and said, "If you need money, I can give it to you. I only ask one thing, don't go to Gabriel again." It makes me laugh because everyone thinks I am someone who can be softened by money. "How much are you going to give me? How much do you need?" I held up a finger. 100 million. Simo said, "Sure." I stopped laughing and pushed him away roughly. "You are sick. Don't let me see you again, or I'll beat you up every time I see you." Back in the room, looking down from the window, Simo was still standing on the street, looking lost. Just as I was about to look away, I saw a man in a neat suit walking into the street. She is so good-looking that it is hard to tell whether she is male or female. The man walked over to Simo, put his head on his shoulder, and looked up at my window. His eyes were sinister and cold, like a snake, and just being stared at gave people goosebumps. After a long moment, that person curved his lips towards me, and in an instant his true expression was hidden, becoming friendly and harmless. Boris. 11. Why did Boris give Simo to Gabriel? What do they want to do? Does Gabriel know that Boris is in contact with Simo? What the hell does this have to do with me? Even if Gabriel was killed, it was his own fault. Who made him protect that little idiot Simo? On the day of the college entrance examination, I saw Gabriel's car at the school gate. For 2 consecutive days, he was present in and out of the examination room. Just don't show up. After the last exam, I rushed out of the examination room. The parents who had sent their children to the exam were picking up their children. I looked around but didn't see the familiar car. "Oh beast! Oh beast! If you wait a few more hours you will die. Don't cry." A familiar voice came from behind, and his shadow and smell pressed down. "I'm here." I was so angry that my eyes turned red and I just walked away. Who the hell is going to cry? I didn't look for him. Gabriel wronged me, he didn't seek justice for me, he beat me. I would only look for him if I was a slut. Gabriel followed behind me, and when we reached the end of the alley, he suddenly grabbed my arm, pulled it hard, and pushed his arms towards me. "Hug with all your might. Dawson, I'm sorry." I was stunned. This was the first time Gabriel apologized to me. He gave me a lot, but he never said, "sorry," to me. Sorry may be cheap to many people, but Gabriel's is expensive. He may have lots of money, but he doesn't have a lot to apologize for. You don't have to forgive me. You can hold a grudge forever, remember my flaws, remember that I can make mistakes, remember that I am not superior. Gabriel tightened his arms. "Dawson, you're doing great, just keep walking, walk to me." My eyes were red and I sniffed. "I didn't give you the medicine." "I know." Gabriel let go of me and lowered his eyes. When did I ever say you were the one who drugged me? I was dumbfounded. He really didn't say that. I was angry. Why did you hit me? What about you? Why don't you call back? What? Why don't you fight back? Can I call back? Because you are afraid of me. Everything you have is given by me. I am the giver and you are the recipient, and you feel you have no right to stand up for yourself. Simo framed you, and you can only vent your anger without any rules, expecting me to prove your innocence. If I don't believe you and convict you, what can you do? You can only let others do whatever they want. Gabriel held my face and made me look into his eyes. Dawson, I hope you have the ability to fight back when you are framed. I hope you have the ability and courage to fight against injustice. I hope you have your own strength to protect yourself. I hope you are not dependent on me, and I hope you have the confidence to fight me at any time. I want you to come to me on your own. Come to me because of me. Not out of fear, profit, or cowardice. I hope that you will be yours first and then mine. You can't do this with me. It doesn't hurt a little bit. You can't let go of the huge benefits I bring to you and don't care about the inequality between us. But, Dawson, if I want to love you, we must be equal first. I blinked. Gabriel asked, "Did I make myself clear?" I nodded. "You can call back now." Gabriel stepped back and stood there, like a tree. I rushed forward and punched him. Kicked him again. Finally, she grabbed his collar and pulled him down to kiss him. "I have a new tongue piercing. Let me give you a taste." Gabriel let out a muffled laugh from his throat, quietly pressed the back of my neck, and played with the tongue stud back and forth. Gabriel came to my house and took a nap. Pure sleep. Before going to bed, he took out a thin scripture from his clothes and handed it to me. Asked me, "Is it okay? When will this old pervert change his habit of listening to people chanting before he goes to sleep?" Just like a little kid who wants to hear a story before bed. Gabriel slept until noon the next day. "How long have you not slept?" "I slept but couldn't sleep," Gabriel said. "No one was reading sutras for me." I said sarcastically, "Why? Your sensible and obedient nephew won't read to you?" Gabriel stared at me for a moment and suddenly laughed out loud. I never let him read it. He couldn't stop laughing. I was so angry at his laughter that I was about to punch him, but I noticed that his sleeves were a little open. My pupils shrank, and I grabbed his wrist and rolled up his sleeves. A wordron was carved on the forearm with a knife. Fresh wounds, not yet healed. The wound was opened more than once. I laughed angrily. "How old are you? Why are you still abusing yourself?" Gabriel slowly lowered his sleeves, 28 in the prime of life. When Gabriel left, I told him that Boris and Simo were in contact and asked him to be careful of Simo. Gabriel responded calmly, "I understand. Obviously you didn't take what I said to heart." I somehow remembered Ramon's words, "Gabriel won't do anything to Simo unless he puts a knife to his neck." Simo is very important to Gabriel. It should be Davy. Davy is very important to Gabriel. In short, 100 times more important than me. My worries were totally unnecessary. Maybe he is willing to be killed by Simo. The day before the college entrance examination results came out, Gabriel came to my house in the middle of the night with a computer to check the results on time. Total score, 492. Gabriel said, "It's pretty bad." He tilted his head and looked over. "How about you study for another year?" Veins popped up on my forehead. "Can you just go away?" "No." Gabriel flipped through the computer with his right hand and rubbed my head perfunctorily with his left hand. "But there are ways. If you don't want to repeat the year, then don't do it." Gabriel looked up information for several hours and found an expert to help me choose a major the next day. Gabriel had only one request: to be in Haiching. I dismissed the expert and said to Gabriel, "What if I must leave Haiching?" Gabriel turned his eyes away from the computer and looked at me. "What did you say?" I met his gaze and said, "I want to leave Haiching." "Impossible." Perhaps because he felt that his tone was too harsh, Gabriel softened his tone. "There are many good schools in Haiching. I will let you go to the best school within this score. You don't have to go outside." I looked him straight in the eye. "How can I not listen to you?" Gabriel didn't answer. He rubbed his eyebrows, took off his glasses with one hand, grabbed my collar with the other hand, and kissed me with his head tilted to the side. To be honest, Gabriel's kiss is very exciting. The kind of kiss that is a vent to the extreme, to plunder and to possess. He held the side of my face and pressed his forehead against mine. I'm afraid this will happen. Once you can run, you start wanting to fly. Gabriel said, Dawson, can I stop you? Sure. I said, if you drive Simo away, I won't leave. Gabriel put my head on his shoulder, hugged me and smiled. Don't be so cute. ? Simo will leave. Didn't you see? He's Boris's man. I pushed him away with a serious expression. Tell me more. If you want to know, come work for me. I'm only 18. I started investing with others on Wall Street when I was 18. Okay. Gabriel asked me to be his secretary, and I could do the work when there was something to do and when there was nothing to do. This old pervert with a beastly heart knows how to have fun. After following Gabriel for a month, I have a rough idea of what's going on. The company is preparing for the tender for the new urban area project. Gabriel said, I have been looking for my nephew for a long time. Boris didn't send him earlier or later, but he sent him here at this time. What good intentions can he have? It is rumored that the idle young master of the Yun family has a big appetite. He is eyeing the piece of meat in the new city district. You knew Simo had bad intentions, but you still kept him here? Gabriel tapped his fingers on the table. See what he wants to do. Did you see that? Gabriel smiled. It's just a trick. Simo is just a cover. The real person who is doing the hard work is still hiding. Simo looked unhappy when he saw me again. He blocked me in the toilet cubicle. Didn't I tell you not to come back? I can give you money if you want it. I'm kind of annoyed with this guy. Where I go is none of your business. Get out of the way. Simo grabbed my collar, veins popping out of his thin white neck. Do you know who Gabriel is? Does he really want to be your uncle? What would he do to you if I was late when Gabriel was taking the Chinese medicine? He'll beat my ass. Simo handed me a card and said, the password is your birthday. There is 30 million in it. Take the money and leave Haiching. The card in my hand still has the warm body temperature. I can't understand him anymore. Simo, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Simo's eyes were red. I don't want Gabriel to train you like a dog, to have you crushed by him, tied to the bed, and begging for mercy. I put the card into his shirt pocket. You are wrong. I came back because I want Gabriel. The color drained from Simo's face. What did you say? I straightened my wrinkled clothes and grinned at Simo. The person I had my first wet dream about was Gabriel. Do you understand? Love is mutual domestication. Besides, if Gabriel really wanted a dog, I would have already gotten one, and I wouldn't have waited for you to be so kind. 15. On the day he got the project, Boris showed up outside the hotel. As if there was no bloody storm behind him, he said politely, the old man misses Simo. I will take Simo back to stay for a few days. Gabriel asked Simo, do you want to go back with him? Simo lowered his head and said, I will go back to see Grandpa in 2 days. Boris smiled a perfect smile that looked like it was painted on, and whispered, Simo, don't keep me waiting too long. After arriving home, Gabriel and Simo talked for an hour in the upstairs study. I asked the housekeeper to cut a fruit plate for me and went up to serve the fruit in a swaggering manner. The atmosphere in the study was very heavy. I poked my head in and asked, would you like some fruit? Gabriel glanced at me and waved. I happily walked over with the fruit plate and pulled a chair to sit next to Gabriel. Simo looked unhappy. I bit into a pear, stuffed a grape into Gabriel's mouth, crossed my legs and said, go ahead and pretend I don't exist. Gabriel lazily leaned back in his chair, his hands folded on his knees. It's good that Dawson is here, so I don't have to explain it again. There's nothing to hide about Davy and me. She's a very good person, that's all. She saved my life, and I'm looking for her child just to repay her kindness. We are in business, and we believe in karma the most. There are some things that we should do if we can. My attraction to Dawson has nothing to do with what he looks like. He's not anyone's shadow, and he won't be a plaything. Gabriel looked at Simo calmly, as if he found it funny. Do you think someone like me would be in need of a stand-in or a dog? What I lack is never something that can be bought with money. Simo, I'm a businessman, and businessmen won't do business at a loss. I gave much more to Dawson than I got. He lost money, but I was willing to do it. As I ate the pear, I was thinking about how I could get Gabriel into bed. I can patiently explain all this to you today only because you are Dawson's biological brother. Otherwise, you would not have the opportunity to question me here based on what you have done. Gabriel warned calmly, I hope you will take care of yourself. The pear in my hand fell. What did you say? Gabriel wiped my mouth and stood up. Say goodbye to your brother. 16. Simo is my brother, my real brother. I am Davy's kid too. Simo is 2 years older than me. When I was 3 years old, the tube-shaped building in the South District caught fire. Davy died in the fire, and Simo and I were separated. A lot of things happened later, and I gradually forgot what Davy looked like, and I couldn't remember whether the brother I once knew was just a figment of my imagination. Simo was found and raised by the Yun family. I lived in the South District until I was 12 years old, and was taken away by Gabriel. Simo had been looking for me for many years and recognized me the first time he saw me. He saw that Gabriel had bad intentions towards me and his perverted nature, and tried every means to make me leave. I thought about what Simo had done and wanted to beat him up again. Can't you just say it straight? Don't you have a mouth? Gabriel and the Yun family, if they knew you were my brother, would they let you go? I don't want you to stay in either of these two places. You'd better not recognize me, never. You think so, you think so. It's all you think. How can you be more self-righteous than Gabriel? You are my brother, not my father. Even if I were my father, I would not have the right to make choices for me. Simo and I had a quarrel and parted on bad terms. By the time I calmed down, Simo had left. I argued with Gabriel. How could you let him go? Boris is obviously not a good person. If you let him go back, wouldn't that be like walking into a tiger's mouth? Gabriel said, he chose it himself. He rubbed his thumb on the back of my neck. You don't have time to worry about others. Gabriel's ruler has a new use. A cold ruler ran across my back. Gabriel said, if you can't stand it, use the safe word. This old pervert. Later, I finally realized why Gabriel gave me power and encouraged me to rebel against him. Because he himself is afraid that he will kill me. I never made it to the end. Without his clothes on, Gabriel is a beast. If I obey him without any boundaries, he won't be able to tell when I will be hurt. If I indulge his desires will drown me. It's really, really exciting. 17. Gabriel is a pervert. Me too. We were made for each other. I don't care if this is love or not, I just know that Gabriel needs me as much as I need him. When he was 12, he reached out to me, and for the rest of my life, I will never let him let go. Gabriel's monologue. Dawson is a cat. It started out as a wild cat. Later it became a house cat. When I don't love him, I just want him to be obedient and not challenge me all the time. Dawson is beautiful. His beauty comes not only from his face and his gradually slimming body, but also from his abundant vitality. The first time he reacted to Dawson was when he was 16. This is not correct. Not ethical. I should restrain myself. A 16-year-old child is too fragile and will break if you are not careful. But I can't control myself from paying attention to him and controlling him. I don't want anyone to be around him. Boys, girls, men, women. I want him to stay quietly in my arms, without being seen by others. Be mine. My own. At the age of 17, I saw Dawson was in love. I can't describe the feeling. As I rubbed his lips, I thought of death. The ultimate possession is death. I knew there was something wrong with me, that I was not normal. But the fault is not entirely mine. I wanted to control Dawson, and he was allowing me to control him. Gotta say, it's pretty addictive. But it's easy to drive people crazy. With his indulgence, my desire grew stronger and stronger, and I even had to rely on pain to restrain it. This is not good. And Dawson didn't even realize what he was doing. He doesn't give me love, only obedience. And he has no ability to protect himself. He is completely under my control. It would be easy for him to die. I'm gonna fuck Dawson. I am aware of my bad habits. My life is so boring that I don't want Dawson to die. If I had the chance, I would love him. For this, I was willing to curb my desire and let Dawson go. I choked where I was, waiting for Dawson to walk towards me. Waiting for Dawson to take control of me. Waiting for Dawson to come and untie me. In fact, I'm not sure if he will come back after I let him go. This is a big gamble. The stakes are my life. If Dawson doesn't want me, I'll die before my desire becomes too much to handle. I named it love.